Good morning. I want to welcome everyone to New Vision Baptist Church, and I want to thank the staff of New Vision and all the leadership team, and especially Ben Fry and the staff within the media industry or media ministry that does the things that they do for us every time we have an event here, and we just thank them so much for hosting us in this great place to have a graduation and great place to have our awards ceremony. I'm Chief Mark Folks. I'm the Chief from Murfreesboro Fire Rescue. On behalf of the Mayor and City Council, we welcome you to the recruit graduation for our recruit class in 2021, second class of 2021. Thank you so much for being here. Again, the Mayor was not able to be here this morning. He sends his regards, but welcome from them and welcome from all of the men and women of Murfreesboro Fire Rescue. I'm going to ask you to please stand at this time and remain standing throughout the pledge and the prayer, but our colors are going to be presented by the Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Honor Guard.
Everyone, please join me in a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we are so grateful for every one of these new firefighters here today. We're grateful for the commitment and sacrifice that they have chosen to make to help protect their communities. Today, we ask for your protection over them physically and mentally as they enter into their careers. We ask that you give them strength, endurance, wisdom, and courage when they are called to help others. Lord, please help them to keep their focus on serving others that depend on them and caring for every citizen in need. Lord, please be with each of their families who will be their support after a bad call and a long night. Lord, guide the crews on each of their trucks to help grow them into the best firefighters and men they could be. Thank you, God, for all your blessings, and we ask this all in your holy name. Amen.
You may be seated. Thank you. It takes me a moment to get my equipment out now. Welcome, and thanks again for coming. Class 2104, we appreciate you coming in on what I still consider to be a holiday weekend. Everybody looks fresh off at holidays, me included. I didn't have too many honeydews to do yesterday, but any veterans in the audience, and I know we have some veterans in our recruit class or listening at home, I thank you for the service. We walk around free every day on their collective effort. It is a wonderful day. A wonderful day in the fire service to me now is when no one calls. Now, I know you guys probably don't think that right now, and you won't as you get on shift, but graduation is a great day. It was such a privilege to be able to escort you in. That's the first time I've done that. And to be able to do that with the instructors and adjuncts just made it that much sweeter. Some of the class challenges, we started on September the 7th. That was the first day of class. We battled COVID. We had injury, loss of family, including myself. We had to work around that, and it just goes to show in public service, life still happens to us while we're at home. I appreciate everybody filling in and doing what you had to do to make it to the end of the class. We started with 14. Our objective was to end with 14, to be here today with 14, but we finished with 12. So the curricula that they went through, this was a curriculum that is similar to what is taught at TFACA, or Tennessee Fire Codes Academy, but it's state approved, and it essentially prepares them to go get their Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2. But it is designed to teach someone who knows very little about the fire service about being a firefighter. It's designed to take them from a crawl to a run at the end, and I feel like we've done that. We had several who entered the class with some experience, limited experience. We had some who were hired maybe a week before the class started into the fire service. So it was a variety of members in the class. So I'm sorry, I can't see my notes. The people that made all this happen, they marched in. Some of them couldn't be here today, but I'm going to call out their names. I should have a slide back there with the names of all the instructors on them. I want to recognize them before we get going. All of our lead instructors are listed on the board up here in front of you. Chief Mark Folks. Now, when I say lead instructors, this is everybody that had a lecture or led a skills day on a Friday. So we typically went through the week with lecture and practice, and then Fridays we worked out our skills so that we would be ready for the skills days for the Tennessee Fire Commission. So Chief Mark Folks had a class, Fire Marshal Carl Pease, myself, Tim Swan, Training Coordinator Jamie Lehue, Training Coordinator Nicole Miller, Captain Adam Brown, Captain Gary Hutchinson, Captain Mike Keith, Captain Paul Oliver, Captain David Sloan, Captain Terry Smith. We let him off today. His son's graduating Paris Island today, boot camp. He's a Marine now. Captain Tracy Summer, Captain Troy Tace, Engineer Zach Fleener, Engineer Dustin Hopper, Engineer James Strader, Firefighter Justin Anderson, Firefighter Nathan Jones, Firefighter Jeff Lozier, Firefighter Brent McBee, Firefighter Playstead. This class wouldn't be what it is without their experience and knowledge instilled in our recruits. A few others, and I've called her name already, but Nicole Miller, she is our training coordinator. But and this is not just for the recruits, but for our whole department. If we're going somewhere, if our name's on a roster, it's because of her. So if we're expected, we can thank her. She does a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that we're eligible to take tests. Tessa Resco, she's not present. She's back at Fire Admin. She does a lot of administrative work to make sure we can just show up and learn about fire. Risha Watson, our budget analyst, she helps us pay the bills. And Terry Herron's present. She keeps them in gear. So when they get a hole in their gloves, Terry's the one that gets out there to get them some new gloves. So the classroom portion of the class is pretty rigid. We go through about 4 to 5 chapters out of our Essentials Manual a week, or our Jones and Bartlett Manual. It takes time away from the family because every night they're having to read the chapter to prepare for the next day. So they're reading, taking tests every night, and then at the end of the week they're taking a test on that week collectively. But they have a midterm and a final exam that they have to go through. Now, the class average was 97, which is pretty good, I think. So it was, as the weeks went on, and they don't know this, I watched the grade book to see who the valedictorian is going to be. I think we had 4 lead changes. It looked like a NASCAR race, and it came down to the last test. But Seth Wright, will you approach the stage? He was complaining this week that he's always last. I think that's because of his name being Wright, but this is a non-speaking part, Seth, so you're all right. I'm going to present Seth with a challenge coin. Now, the rest of them will get their challenge coin on their year anniversary, but Seth has earned his a year early. Seth's average was a 99.8. So, at this time, I'd like to call Class President Alec Rowell to the stage. He has a few words he'd like to share with you.
All right. So I didn't write a speech or anything. I'm just winging it. So try to keep it short and sweet. But if I get emotional, you guys, just bear with me. So first I want to start by giving a big thank you to all the families, the wives, girlfriends, kids for supporting us through this process. I know it wasn't easy for us, being gone for 10, 12 hours a day, but I'm sure it was just as hard, especially for us with kids. And you guys did a good job supporting us. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of everybody for letting us achieve this goal and, continue on this journey in the fire service. And also, as Chief Lowe, mentioned, a big thank you to all our instructors, captains. You guys did a great job. We were very lucky to have an in-house academy. And from top to bottom, it was a great experience. All the instructors, captains, got to learn a couple new languages from one captain. Captain Summer, sorry for all your paperwork you had to do for my hospital visits, but we made it. And Captain Smith, he's not here today, but, we were unlucky. We didn't get to spend as much time with him that we were supposed to, but we enjoyed every minute that we had with him, I'd say, and looking forward to working with him in the future. And from the top, Chief Lowe and everyone else involved in the hiring process, thank you for seeing something in us from the beginning to give us this opportunity to be here today. It was a great academy. We all enjoyed it, and we're very lucky to have you guys. In Class 2104, you guys look good over there. It wasn't easy, but very proud of each and every one of you. It was tough. It was a tough road, from being 4 bottles deep with Captain Smith to hazmat week to everything else we endured. But we had each other's backs, and we made it. We pushed through the hard times, a lot of hurdles, a lot of obstacles, but, we beat them all. And that's all that matters, and we're here today. So I just want to say I'm very proud of each and every one of you guys, even you, Lucas. We made it. We're here today, but it doesn't end here. We earned today, and we earned, a foot in the door and a seat on the truck, but the hard work, doesn't stop. It just begins now. So keep that chip on your shoulder and that motivation, and, let's prove to everybody that, this academy, this class is a very special one. So I'll end it there before I get too choked up, because I could talk all day how proud I am of my guys over there. But before I leave, as I exit the stage, I want everybody here to stand up and give a round of applause to all our instructors, everyone else on that board that made it possible. Like I said, we were very lucky to have the in-house academy, and top to bottom, it was great, and everyone did a great job. So, thank you.
Good job, Alec. It's okay to be a blubbering mess. I turn into one anytime I hear bagpipes. I'm lucky I was able to get up the steps. But I will, he said something about the process, and I want to touch on that. The process for Murfreesboro for these recruits, started in March of 2020. They went through the testing, the physical abilities, and everything that it takes to get on that list. Over 18 months ago. So there's a lot that can happen in that time. Obviously other job opportunities come up, and I'm just glad when they heard that call, and I'm not necessarily calling about the call from me, from Hendersonville Fire, from Lebanon Fire, but that call inside that said, yes, I still want to be a firefighter. I'm glad they answered the call. And I will add that Lebanon Fire, they're present today. We have 2 of their members in this class. They pitched in, helped out a lot with the class. Extrication Week was made possible due to Lebanon's efforts. City of Hendersonville, they sent Fire Marshal Paul Varble, which he was not on my instructor list. It just dawned on me, but Paul Varble carried that class for us that week for our community risk reduction. So all of our fire prevention efforts were taught by the City of Hendersonville. So thank you, guys. Before we get to our keynote, I always like to take this opportunity to issue a challenge. Now, like I said earlier, the class, we go off a pretty rigid curricula and outline. So I looked at my last outline for the last class, and I thought, well, it's not going to do for this one. Each class, I think is the 8th group that I've been fortunate enough to be involved with bringing them on. They all have different personalities, and they all gel together a little different. So I don't think that my challenge to the last class would have been appropriate, but I have one word for you: momentum. Well, let me flesh it out. So you have momentum now going into your career. Coming out of this class, you're eligible to take Firefighter 1, which you have. Of course, I hope some of you have learned your results. I haven't heard if you had, but I hope you get that settled. You're eligible to take Firefighter 2. Let's get that settled. You have momentum to go into those, to get those settled and move on to your next challenge. Now, obviously, we have medical training that we're going into, and we're going to hit that hard and get that settled. We have to do that to meet our job descriptions. But once you get those settled, then we're going to reset and find another objective, another goal. That's what's going to keep you moving. In the fire service, each certificate builds the base for the next one. Instructor 1 takes a little bit from journeyman, get you ready for officer. Officer 1 takes a little bit from instructor and gets you ready to move on. You will need to make sure you accomplish each cert and reset and move on to the next. Now, I say momentum because I think you know how I feel about pride and ownership in a department. Taking care of yourself, taking care of your gear, your personal appearance. It's very important that what the public sees reflects what that city needs you to be. The funny thing about momentum is if you keep your momentum going, you're going to reach your destination a lot easier. I was thinking about a good picture or analogy to try to get this through to you, but a weakness of this class, one weakness, I had a lot of good feedback from this class. Anytime I sent them off to Tennessee Fire Academy, the instructors always reported back, hey, these guys are ready to go. They're good. They're hitting it. But you do have a weakness, and it is your ability to recognize 80s pop culture references. But I'm going to try with this one. I learned to drive in the tobacco and hay fields of Sumner County. I drove an old C10 pickup. Didn't have power steering. Some of you might not know what power steering is, but used to, you had to fight it, okay? If it was sitting still, it was hard to turn the steering wheel. Now, as we moved to the barn, and I could get it in gear and get it moving, I could get it going wherever I wanted. So I had that momentum. It was a lot easier to get to my destination. Hope that makes sense to you guys, right? Okay, nod your head. So, but if you keep that momentum, your objectives will come into view. So, each day that you arrive for your shift, you have a choice. Are you going to keep learning, or are you going to be content with what you've learned? Are you going to make yourself better, making your job better, making your crew better? Are you going to be a thermometer, or are you going to be a thermostat? So a thermometer, you just react to room temp, right? If it's sour, if it's down, you're going to be down. If it's up, you might be up. But a thermostat, well, we control the room temp, right? I've said it before. It was a grind to get here. You're going to have to challenge. If you want to change yourself, you're going to have to challenge yourself. You're going to have to move out of your comfort zone if you're going to grow. So that's my challenge to you, is to keep that momentum. I'm here to help you. Anytime my door's open, you know how to get in touch with me now. My phone number is on the bottom of every email I've ever sent you. But with that, I'd like to move into our keynote speaker, Mr. Randolph Wilkerson. He's our new our Employee Services Director here in the city of Murfreesboro. But he is a strategic and innovative HR executive with over 25 years of experience and a proven track record of translating business vision into human resource initiatives. Randolph is an accomplished leader with progressive experience in both private and public leadership organizations, where he drove strategy and change management in various industries such as security, retail, consumer service, healthcare, distribution, manufacturing, and municipality. He has held several HR leadership roles such as Senior Director, HR, and Vice President of HR several companies, including G4S Secure Solutions, Smile Direct Club, True Green, COI Food Service. He was recently promoted to our Director of Employee Services here. He is a Tennessee native. Randolph received his Bachelor of Science in Logistics from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, a Master of Science in Organizational Management from Trevecca Nazarene in Nashville. Randolph possesses a high level of integrity by doing what is right and not necessarily what is popular. He is a trustee of Lake Providence Missionary Baptist Church in Nashville. Randolph enjoys spending quality time with his family, playing pool, card games, and going to sports events. He's married to his lovely wife, Crystal, and they have 2 children, Jade and Randolph II. Randolph also enjoys mentoring and developing future leaders. He was a former assistant for the Scoutmaster of Boy Scouts of America, and he is an adjunct professor at Lipscomb University. Please welcome to the podium Randolph Wilkerson.
Thank you, Chief Lowe. I appreciate that nice introduction. I also want to do a special thank you to Chief Folks and Chief Toombs for allowing me this opportunity to speak to the graduating class of 2021. I think this is a high privilege. It's an honor to be here, to stand before you, and to congratulate you on your completing the training program. I also like to thank the different chiefs, the other chiefs, the captains, the training coordinators who put this event together. All the training, all the time that went into work to make this happen, the 10 to 14 weeks of training. Big event, big opportunity, and the gentleman passed the class with flying colors. I'd also like to say this morning to the family and friends of the recruits, of the new firefighters, thank you for your support. Because in reality, without you, there's a probability that they may not be here today. With your support, your love, you're the reason why they're here today. So thank you. And to the firefighters, the new class of 2021, we're proud of you for meeting the requirements and the mission to this great department. We're proud of you for the training that you've undertaken and the things that you completed. You've committed to your life to a great position to serve others, to be a public servant, and that goes without light comment. I thank you for your service. I thank you for stepping up to the plate, as Chief Lowe mentioned. When the call came, you were committed. You decided, hey, this is what I wanted to do. So thank you. As I was preparing for today's talk, it made me reflect on some of the structure and some of the discipline that I grew up with, but in a different twist with a little bit more extremes to it. So bear with me for a moment. I want to share with you a little about my upbringing. We'll call it the Raw High story, okay? As Chief Lowe mentioned, I grew up in Nashville, mostly on the east part of Nashville. For the most part, it was a very nice childhood. I come from a family of 6 boys, no girls. We're very competitive. Throughout our childhood, we play a lot of sports, and particularly basketball and football. Within my family, I'm the 4th oldest child, so I'm a middle child. I learned that how to get along with my older brothers and also my younger brothers. I watched closer to particular situation. I watched the success and also the mistakes some of my older brothers made. I did that to keep from being disciplined by my parents, in particular my father. Discipline might be too nice of a word to describe my father's level of punishment. In fact, a better adjective that probably describe his level of discipline, for those of you who are older or in my age group, I might use the term beating. Okay, you can recall that if you're my age or older. In fact, that type of discipline, if it was held today, more than likely a parent would probably receive a visit from the Human Services Department. Oftentimes we got whipped with belts, extension cords, hands, and even tree limbs. Notice I did not mention the word switch. He wasn't like most of your mother or grandmothers back then, who would tell you to go get a switch from a tree if you did something wrong. In fact, he might go take his chainsaw and cut down a limb and come after you with that. My father's nickname, I don't know if he really knew this, but we called him Rawhide. We called him Rawhide. Not after that old TV series, Chief Toombs, that you may remember, where Clint Eastwood played. He played a character called Rowdy Yates. I'm talking about something completely different. My father was very strict. We was all boys, but we had to be in the house whenever the street lights came on. So here's a funny story that comes to mind. I remember one fall evening, it was just becoming dark, and I was playing basketball at one of my neighbors' home. We were playing a one-on-one game, and I was in the process of shooting a jump shot. I was about 16 to 20 inches off the ground, and as I was shooting the ball, out of my peripheral vision, I saw my father's truck pass by. Keep in mind, I'm in the air, and I had planned to land on the ground evenly. However, seeing my father's truck, I quickly made an adjustment in the air. I moved like Spider-Man and quickly ran toward the house. Believe it or not, I think before I got home, halfway to the house, the ball had not even reached the ground yet. I was moving that fast. The next day, I saw my friend Tony, whose house I was over. He said, "Hey, what happened? Why'd you leave so quick?" I explained to him what happened. He said, "I don't blame you. I probably would have done the same thing." So for me, growing up with that level of discipline trained me to always do the right thing, to always follow direction. In the end, I really turned out okay. As Chief Lowe mentioned, I've been married for 32 years and have two wonderful children. Throughout the whole upbringing of them, I've never had to whip them or anything of that nature. All I had to do was give them that certain look. You know the look I'm talking about. Or raise my voice, and they fell in line. So they turned out okay. So this morning, what I'd like to do is share with you one of the most important things that I think a firefighter should have, the mindset of a firefighter should have in order to succeed. This is true regardless of when and where a firefighter goes to fight a fire. This type of mindset prepares a firefighter to succeed regardless of the situation. In fact, this type of mindset can be used anywhere by anyone who's part of a team or a unit. The mindset I'm speaking of requires unity. It requires a group or a team to see themselves as one. The mindset that I believe every team, group, or unit should have is to work together, and that is to hold the line. Hold the line means to not yield to the pressure of a difficult situation. It means to wait, to be patient, to block, to hinder. It means to do all you can to prevent something terrible from happening. It means that failure is not an option. It means to win. It means to succeed. Firefighters must have the mindset of holding the line because they are real-life heroes. In some cases, they are the first line of defense or the first responders to a major disaster. Firefighters have been saving lives in America since 1678. Although the techniques have changed, since then, firefighters still save thousands of lives each year. I want to share with you three things this morning that firefighters do that I think embodies the mindset of holding the line, which makes them heroes. The first, firefighters are heroes because they run toward danger. They must act as one unit. They have to be in lockstep with one another. Each firefighter must do his or her job in order for the job to be done well. When there's a fire or an explosion, most people flee and run in the opposite direction. Firefighters, however, run toward them. When disaster strikes, firefighters are the first on the scene. Even in medical emergency, firefighters are respondents to the call. They're courageous. They know there's a chance that things may not go their way. Yet they push through anyway. General Norman Schwarzkopf once said, "True courage is being afraid and going ahead and doing your job anyhow." That is what courage is. What comes to mind for me, and probably some of you, some 20 years ago, one of the most tragic incidents that ever occurred in this country, 2011, 9/11. That's the day that 343 firefighters in New York City died, along with 60 other police officers and 6 medical rescue workers. Every year, there's a 911 memorial stair climb. This involves with cities across the country where firemen will do a climb or some type of equipment of 110 stairs, 10 stories related to the World Trade Center. This individual tribute not only remembers the sacrifice of the New York firefighters, but it symbolically completes the heroic journey to save others. This happens every year. The second reason firefighters are heroes is because of the following. On average, firefighters work about 10 days a week, 24 hours a shift. I'm sorry, they work 10 24-hour shifts per month. 10 24-hour shifts per month. They don't get holidays off. When we're sitting at the Thanksgiving Day table or waiting on Santa to bring in the presents, servicemen and women are out there keeping us safe. They hold the fort down. They show up when everyone else is gone home. They put the energy, the time in making sure we are safe if something terrible happens. Here's an illustration of what I mean by holding the line. Those of you who know me know that I'm a big Tennessee Titan fan. I sort of have a love-hate relationship with them. You know, the kind that you may have with a girl you've been dating for a long time. Sometimes she make you upset and you're contemplating on leaving her. But then you think about it closely, and the good times really outlast the bad, so you stay with them. Anyhow, that's kind of how my relationship is with the Titans. A few weeks ago, I think it was about October the 18th, the Titans played the Buffalo Bills on the Monday Night Football. If you know anything about football, Sunday night, Monday night, and Super Bowls are the biggest events in the NFL. So a lot of folks across the country were watching. It was a slugfest between both teams. Both organizations are solid football teams. They play with a hard level of physical play. They play good coverage defense. They hit hard. The Bills are coached by a guy by the name of Sean McDermott. He's been with the Bills since 2017. He was a former defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. The Titans are coached by, as you know, Mike Vrabel. He's been with the Titans since 2018. He's a former defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, all-pro defensive end, and three-time Super Bowl champion. Both of these guys are good coaches. They have one thing in common. They're both defensive coaches. If you know anything about sports, particularly championships, people will tell you defense wins championships. Well, let's move to the game. It's in the fourth quarter. The Bills were leading by 4 points. In fact, the Bills was leading most of the games. The score at this time, 8 minutes left, it was 31-27. The Titans got the ball. They scored on a 13-yard run from Derrick Henry. Bills get the ball back, 3 minutes left in the game. First series of plays, they get a first down. Second series of play, they move the ball to the 12-yard line in Titan territory. Fourth down comes up. They are in striking distance of scoring a touchdown. By the way, I meant to mention this. The game was in Nashville, so the Titans fans were going wild. I was at home sitting on my seat, anticipating that, hey, they may call me in the game. I was that excited about watching the game. My heart was beating so fast. At this time, it's 22 seconds left in the game. The coach for the Bills had two choices. One, kick a field goal. They're on the 3-yard line. Okay? They're on the 3-yard line. They're down by 3. Or go for a touchdown. Both teams line up for the play. Coach Vrabel calls timeout. This is my perception of what happens next. Coach Vrabel got with the defensive coordinators. He got with the players. They were focused, identified, or instructed them, this is what may happen, here's how you may react. He told them, this is our house. You know what to do. Hold the line. Players go back in the game. Titan decides to move in one moment, one unit. The referee calls the play. Titan stops them. Bills only got maybe 1 yard of play. At that moment, the Titans worked together. They held the line. They did not allow the Bills to score. As you may know, the Titans won that game. The third and final reason that I think firefighters are heroes is because they inspire others. Think about this. It takes a special kind of person to become a firefighter. They throw themselves out of windows, run through burning buildings, and cut people out of cars. They do a lot of things. Firefighters see and experience things that affect both them mentally and physically. Despite this, they continue to do what they do. This courage reminds me of the poem called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Invictus means unconquerable or undefeated in the Latin language. The poem is about courage in the face of death or holding on one's own dignity despite the challenges of life. The poem goes something like this. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the felt clutch of circumstance, I have not wrenched nor cried out loud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. As I prepare to close to the graduating class of 2021, you have stepped forward to serve others. You will have many rewards. You will save lives. You will have people come up to you later and thank you for saving their lives or just touching them and caring. Sometimes people will second guess you. You may have an article written in the newspaper against the department for doing something. The story may be written by a writer who has never done anything similar to your situation, who knows nothing about what they're saying. You will not remember this. You will remember how you reach out and helped others. I ask that you look at your challenges and look at why we're so proud of you. You're putting your life on the line. You know what you're getting into. You have been through the training that prepares you for what you're about to go into. Remember, when you rescue a child, the tone of your voice that you use, the kindness, the command, the understanding that you provide that child will prepare him for the future without the trauma and scarring. Or it can turn that person the other way and may scar him or traumatize him for life. To give you the strength and the protection you'll need, I recommend that you look to the most highest, the most powerful being in the universe, and say the following fireman's prayer. When I'm called to duty, God, wherever flames may rage, give me the strength to save life, whatever be its age. Help me to embrace a little child before it's too late, or save an older person from the horror of that fate. Enable me to be alert, to hear the weakest shout, and quickly and efficiently put the fire out. I want to feel my calling and to give the best in me, to guard every neighbor and protect their property. And if according to your will, I have to lose my life, please bless with your protecting hand my children and my wife. Gentlemen, you're going to be the first to respond. You're going to be the first to be on the front line. You must hold the line. You will undertake a lot to protect the lives of us all. And for us all, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Godspeed, and take good care of yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Randolph. Thank you for your leadership. Most of all, thank you for being a friend. Got to thinking about when you said you were 20 inches in the air shooting that basketball, what that would look like for me. My knees started hurting. But all right, this is the moment we've all come for. This will start our badge and bell ceremony. Just a little housekeeping. As our recruits stage to the left, the members of their families who wants to come up on stage and pin them can stage there with them, and then come up as their name is called. As one's name is called, the following recruit will stand up, and then that family can stage to stage left with them as well. Training coordinator Nicole Miller will be calling the names. Lebanon Chiefs, Hendersonville Chiefs, when you see your recruits come up, you can come up and stand too. So our photographer will be on stage with us to take pictures with us. So.
Jalen Dunnigan. Jerry Holloway. Nick Hofling. Jake Watkins. Demetran Spawner. Lucas Dowd. Ryan Herndon. Tyler Hill. Timothy Irving. Zach McKay. Alec Rowell. Seth Wright.
We'll now prepare for the bell ceremony. Thank you, Nicole, for calling out those names for you. And I don't think I've mentioned it before, but thank you, Honor Guard, for the wonderful job you do for us, posting the colors and ringing the bells. So the bell ceremony. The history of the bell in the fire service dates back to 12th, 13th century, when fire marshals would walk through the streets of developing communities in Eastern Europe, ring the bell to let people know to put their fires out. In more recent times, bells were used to call for help, call firefighters in when a building was on fire, to signal the beginning of a shift, to signal the end of a shift when all was clear, returning from a fire. And bells are also used to honor our fallen. The bell that you see in front of you served the city of Murfreesboro for 2.5 decades on the front of a truck that we lovingly referred to as the Snorkel. I guess 1977, it was put into service, and for many years it responded to every fire in the city of Murfreesboro. Today, now it mostly provides an honorary bell force mounted on an oak base. So, Class 2104, please stand. Today, the bell will toll 12 times, 1 time for each recruit. The bell toll today will signify their graduation, the end of recruit academy, and the beginning of a career. Honor Guard. To the cities of Hendersonville, City of Lebanon, thank you for participating in this recruit class. Chief Oaks, Class 2104, they are fit for duty. Once again, thank you all for coming. That concludes this ceremony. You may now pick your firefighter up out in the foyer. I'm sorry? Okay. All right. And if you want...